Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 5 favorite new comics of the week. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is my top 5 favorite new comic books of the week for New Comic Book Day. So out of everything released this week, these are the ones that I thought were top primo, USDA grade, creme de la creme. Let's get right into it. At number 5, Breakout, number 1 from Dark Horse Comics. Written by Zach Kaplan with artwork by Wilton Santos, coloring by Jason Wordie, lettering by Jim Campbell. Breakout is another fantastic science fiction story from writer Zach Kaplan. Now, I'm a big fan of his work from Join the Future, Port of Earth, and this is no exception. It's a really cool sci-fi concept and done in a really interesting way. So it's a youth story, it's a sci-fi story, it's kind of an invasion story, and it's also a heist story. I had a lot of fun with this one. Basically, one day, these cubes just show up and start abducting children from the Earth. And it keeps happening month to month, week to week, and eventually the population stops kind of panicking, and they decide that the best way to deal with it is just to carry on like normal. And now when the cubes are about to abduct more kids, they just willingly put them out, gather them together, be like, pick who you want, let's get this over with so we can move on. And it is believed that these children are still alive in these cubes. Now, are they aliens? Are they time travelers? We don't know, right? There is a mystery there. But these kids are believed to still be alive in these cubes, but nobody seems to care. Except, of course, for the bigger, older brother of one of the kids who was just recently abducted by the cubes. And he has decided, brilliant mind that he is, to put together a team of other brilliant minds and perform a heist and break his brother and a bunch of other kids out of the cube. It sounds like a simple story, but it's told in a very interesting way. The artwork by Santos is absolutely amazing. Some really cool composition and design throughout the pages to guide your eye, doing something a little bit different, something a little bit skewed, but makes it a really satisfying experience. Breakout, fantastic book. At number 4, We Ride Titans, number 3 from Vault Comics. Written by Tres Dean, with artwork by Sebastian Perez, D. Cuniff on the coloring and lettering by Jim Campbell. We Ride Titans has been a pretty solid book 2 issues through, but it really kicks it up to 11 and beyond in issue number 3. I thought it really ramped up. I loved it. This is giant mech action with a heart, a thread of a human story that's about family, it's about acceptance, it's about a lot of other things. And I really love this book. So the basic premise is this. Each town has a giant mech to protect it from giant monsters. This mech, for generations, has been operated by one single family in each city, right? Well, the dude who is currently operating the mech for this one city can no longer fulfill his journey because he's got some problems, he's got some substance abuse issues, so his sister, who has ostracized herself from the family, from the community, has to come back and take his spot. She doesn't have a good relationship with her father, and if that seems super drama heavy, it's not, because most of this issue in particular was filled with a giant mech fight, because this mysterious other mech comes in, nobody knows who's piloting it, and it's just mostly a giant fight. Now that thread of heart, of humanity, of family is in there, and the way that's carried across is fantastic. The artwork by Perez is absolutely amazing. Really clean line work so that we can see the complexity of the design of the mechs, of the city, of the fight sequences themselves. This one is really cool. It started off pretty decent and strong, and it's just leveled up. At number 3, Radio Spaceman, Mission to Numa 4, issue number 2. Written by Mike Mignola with artwork by Greg Hinkle, Dave Stewart on the coloring, Clem Robbins on the lettering from Dark Horse Comics. If it's Mike Mignola and it's a new character, I'm definitely going to be checking it out, and mostly I'm going to be digging it. I really like Radio Spaceman. This is a character that fits right in that vein of a Mignola created character. It is this like body, like a robot body, almost out in space with like a skull in a jar for a head and an antenna. And somehow on Earth, this old guy like hooks up to some kind of crazy machine, can operate and pilot this avatar out in space and be a superhero. And you got vampires, you got kaiju, you got all kinds of crazy Mignola-isms and basically just monster-isms. If you like creature comics, you like monster comics, you like wild, cool sci-fi comics, especially like old school, like Victorian age tech in science fiction settings, if you like that kind of stuff, basically, if you like Mike Mignola, you're gonna like this book. Now, of course, it'd be great to have Mignola do the artwork himself, but Hinkle does a fantastic job developing his own style, but still being able to have that composition and panel design that we know and love from the Hellboy, BPRD, Baltimore, from the Mignola books, right? The lettering is top-notch. The coloring is still Dave Stewart, one of the best colorists that has ever existed in this industry. Radio Spaceman is fun. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It gets the job done in just 2 issues, and I am ready, aching, oozing with anticipation for more. At number 2, Sandman Universe, Nightmare Country, number 1, from DC Comics. Written by James Tynion IV with artwork by Alessandro Estrin and Yannick Paquette, coloring by Patricio Del Pici, Nathan Fairbairn, and Simon Bolin on the lettering. First time I read this book, I really appreciated the artwork, but couldn't quite get into the story. It kind of confused me. I don't know what was wrong with me that day that I was reading that, but when I reread it for the weekly comic book review, I loved it. It all ironed itself out. Story-wise, I thought it was great. So this is a character, this is a story about a character from the Sandman books, the Corinthian. And it will help you if you know who that character is and you've read his brief appearances in Sandman, but you don't have to know all of the world of Sandman to get this. But basically, he is a nightmare, and this is really well done. First of all, the artwork, which immediately stood out to me. Alessandro Estrin, who is the artist on Strange Skies over East Berlin, great style there. Redneck, completely different style there, and a different style here, and it fits in the vein. So it's about this woman, and she's, I guess, having dreams about the Corinthian. The Corinthian's got, like, mouths for eyes, and he eats people's eyes, and it's pretty gnarly, creepy design. And if you want to read the original appearance from him, check out Sandman, The Doll's House. That book is fantastic. And then after you watch that, check out our Comics Revisited that we did on said graphic novel. But she is obsessed somehow subconsciously with the Corinthian. She's been painting him, right? Well, she's got this other dude at her apartment. He's having a nightmare, so the Corinthian is there. He notices these paintings. He's like, who is this person? Why is she drawing me? And he's starting to kind of have memories of his past. The stuff from the Doll's House that ended in a very tragic, crazy, interesting way. Basically, he wound up on Earth for a while as a serial killer. He's starting to remember this. He's starting to remember the idea of killing being more satisfying in the real world outside of the dreaming. So I really liked this book. I think Tynion crafted a pretty solid script, but that artwork is amazing. You got Paquette coming in to do the dreaming sequence. It's a completely different style, but it's not jarring because of the way that it's done throughout the narrative, right? In the real world, nightmarish world, and the dreaming. So I really liked the book. I thought it was super solid. If you've never read a book with the Corinthian, you might be a little bit confused, but I highly encourage you to read The Doll's House, and then this one. And at number 1, Flashpoint Beyond, number 0, from DC Comics. Written by Jeff Johns with artwork by Eduardo Risso, Trish Mulvihill on the coloring, and Rob Lee on the letters. Flashpoint Beyond is the kind of DC superhero comic books that I absolutely love and have loved since I was a kid. I am a big sucker for crisis events. I'm a big sucker for explanations of the multiverse and the omniverse and the metaverse and the divine continuum. The fact that the divine continuum is abbreviated into DC, I like, so simple, so ridiculous, but just blows my mind. Ever since I was a kid, I eat this kind of shit up, and I loved Flashpoint Beyond. I was a little bit nervous going back to that world of Flashpoint. Flashpoint was a cool story, and you do have to have a pretty solid knowledge of that world and that story in order to fully appreciate this book, though it does work even just on its own. They kind of fill in the gaps for you, but if you don't want to reread the Flashpoint book or want to read it, check out the animated movie. They do a pretty decent job kind of adapting it there. But basically, Thomas Wayne, we've seen him, this version of Batman from this reality that is supposedly no longer in existence because they fixed the timeline, right? Well, he winds up dying in our world in like Justice League Incarnate or something like that. And he wakes up and he's back in his world like as if they never changed the past. As if this is just going to continue on. And he's trying to find Barry Allen and get help again to try to undo everything, but Barry doesn't know what's up. Like, yeah, I'm just a regular dude, and things get really kind of crazy there, but I liked the story. So it was cool to see Thomas Wayne, really, to be honest, I think written the best since the last time we saw him in Flashpoint. I mean, Tom King used him, Josh Williamson used him to some pretty decent abilities in the Infinite Frontier stuff, but this is a really good take on Thomas Wayne. Of course, it's Jeff Johns, who was the original writer of Flashpoint, creator of this iteration of the character and whatnot. But I really liked it. Then artistically, we got Eduardo Risso on the artwork. This is the dude that did 100 Bullets. He's got a very noirish, dark kind of approach to it, but it's still, especially with the colors by Mulville, amazing colors that pop almost in a Dave Stewart type way to really bring out the impact of the artwork. I loved it. I loved the deep shadows, the spotted blacks. I loved the artwork. That artwork in conjunction with the story, I just loved it. Made it the pick of the week, #1 on this list. What'd you think of these books? What's your top 5? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop, boom.